In this video, I'm going to be going through the 4 key reasons why diets have not worked for you in the past and what we do differently with the clients that we work with in the Lift Your Life method to make it different, to not only lose the weight but sustain it. And that's what I want to show you in this video. The first thing that I need to say, and the most important thing that I want you to take away from this video, if nothing else, is that diets have failed you. You are not a failure. You may be thinking, am I just the problem? Like, what? Is it just me? Is it a lack of inability? Can I just not lose weight? And I want you to know that you are absolutely capable. You have likely just picked the wrong things that have led to you feeling like this. And I want you to walk away from this video empowered as hell to know I can absolutely do this. And you're going to know how you can make this time different just by watching the next 5-10 minutes. So the first thing is most diets fail because they are over-restrictive, and you might be sort of aware of this, but I want to show you why it doesn't work and what actually happens. And when I say over-restrictive, I mean going super low calories, cutting out food groups, rules, meal plans, restricted, rigid plans that rely on willpower. Like this little sad human down here who's like, oh, I really want all this food because I enjoy it, but I need to be disciplined. I need to work really hard. And we can use willpower in short bursts, and it can work really well in short little bursts, but it's not a long-term strategy. So over the weeks, over the months, your willpower is eventually going to run very, very, very low, like a phone battery. And you're going to be in a context or a situation where you're out with friends and those foods aren't on the meal plan. You're in the office and someone's brought in cake, and your willpower is just like extremely low, and you're just going to hit the F it button. You're just going to go, screw it, I don't want to do this anymore. Maybe it's a Friday night and you've just had the week from hell and you're like, you know what, Domino's is calling my name, let's go. And what happens is when you're in this place of very, very low willpower and resilience, you tend to overeat. It's very rare that you'll be in a situation where you go, oh, I'll be able to just have a little bit of moderation. No, the abstinence violation effect happens, which is this idea that when you restrict on something, you then overeat on it when you're exposed to it. The longer you restrict, the more vulnerable you are to overeat, a bit like this little sad hamster down here. So then what happens? You've overeaten, you've broken the rule of the diet. Shame, guilt, frustration kicks in, which can lead to further pressing the effort button, continuing to overeat, and then you're going to go down one or two paths. You're going to quit because you don't think that you're capable, you can't do this, you don't have the willpower, you don't have the self-discipline. You then go back to your old habits, and eventually you get to a point where you're like, no, I want to diet again, start the cycle again. Or you go, no, and you get back on it Monday, and you start again tomorrow. You go back into this over-restriction, back into the cycle again, and you then feel completely stuck and trapped in this cycle. So what do you need to do different? You need to stop looking at dieting as this massive sacrifice and start to think of it as compromise, because I'd love to say you don't have to change a thing and you can get incredible results, but that would be silly because nothing changes and nothing changes, right? But it shouldn't have to be this over-restrictive, massive, horrible sacrifice that is taking over your life and making you miserable and hate everything. That's not going to work. And the reality is, and this is what most of the industry gets wrong, is that how you eat in a fat loss phase for long-term success should not be hugely different to the maintenance point. It should be a very smooth transition. And if how you want to eat for the rest of your life and how you are eating when you are dieting look completely different, you are never going to sustain it. It's not possible. You are never going to get there. So this is what we need to do different. You need to be thinking, right, I need to be making these small, realistic lifestyle changes that I can maintain for the rest of my life. And a really good way to not be in the cycle of like over-restricting, relying on willpower, is to stop focusing on what you can't have. It's to stop focusing about, I can't have this, and it's a dieting mindset that a lot of diets unfortunately bring into you. You want to be focusing on what can I add, what can I include, what can I focus on, and ultimately you need to learn how to build a balanced diet and change your mindset to dieting. So the next and biggest problem with diets, and this is something that is not really talked about, unfortunately, but I'm here to talk about the stuff that no one else wants to talk about, is they mask or create issues with your relationship with food. So what this can look like is you are following a plan, like a meal plan to a T, and it masks binge eating. Like you're like, oh, when I follow this, my overeating, my binge eating is under control. But the second that you stop following the plan, you continue to binge eat. A lot of these programs never teach you things like how do you manage emotional eating? How do you actually work through that? And again, the second that you stop following the plan and you're out of this like die-hard willpower mindset, you're stuck in a cycle of emotional eating. That's never fixed. And for some people, binge eating, emotional eating, that's what's stopping you losing weight, and you're never actually working through those issues. You're just masking them, and then sometimes you're making them worse. a lot of these diets make you feel that the only way you can lose weight is if you follow these rules. See, then you've got like food anxiety and fear. Like if you followed a low carbohydrate diet and then, you've gone in that cycle, willpower's run out, hit the effort button, you're going to believe that you cannot eat carbohydrates or you're going to gain fat, and then you're fearful of eating it and cutting it out and then feeling over-restricted and eating it and stuck in that cycle again. And a lot of these diets create things like food guilt. So you eat certain things, I shouldn't have eaten that, self-sabotage, because you're restricting so much, food's always on your mind, you're so preoccupied by food, which isn't a healthy relationship with food. Like, do these things sound familiar to you? They probably do. So what is the solution? Again, something no one wants to talk about because it's not the most sexy thing. It isn't a 6-week summer shred, but it is an absolute non-negotiable that if you want to sustain the results you achieve, you need to work on your relationship with food alongside fat loss. Because if you don't, the moment you stop dieting, you're going to be back at square one. And then you're going to feel dependent on a diet to remain in control on your weight and around food, which you don't need/want to be doing. So you need to be doing this alongside. Another big problem with diets is they do feed this all or nothing thinking, being on plan, off plan. And like I was saying just then, like these rules set you up to make you feel like a failure when you don't meet them. So then you hit the effort button, you regain the weight, and you're just in the side. You see how all these things are starting to come together. It's common themes, right? So rather than working in absolutes, you must follow this rule, you must follow this, the black and white rules. One thing we do differently is bring our clients to work in range targets. And we're really big on calling our clients out on all or nothing, black and white thinking, like on plan, off plan, because your mindset to dieting is everything. Like the way you think about food, the way you think about the process is going to dictate how you show up and how you approach it. So if you can remove this perfectionism, remove this need to hit everything 100%, you're going to feel less pressure and you're not going to go into these massive effort moments when things don't quite go to plan. And a big one is no accountability, or not the kind that you want or need in your life. And the problem when you go at it alone is you kind of just wing it. Like you put in the work, I'm eating healthier, I'm trying to make all these changes, I'm putting in this effort, but I'm not getting any returns, which completely demotivates you. It's very easy to make excuses for yourself, when you don't eat, I'm just a bit busy, when there's no one to be accountable to. You're more likely to quit when things get hard. You don't have that resilience, you don't have that person you can't go, no, come on, you can do this. And when one little thing goes wrong, you're more likely to be like, well, that's it, I can't do this, I'm a failure, rather than being able to talk and work it through. And this is where we come in. Like, as Live to Life coaches, we are not the kind of accountability that's like, you must do this or you're terrible, we're going to tell you off for eating things, and that die-hard approach. Like, that's not us. Like, that's not the accountability you want in your life. Like, we are your cheerleaders. We are there to support you every step of the way. We're not going to tell you off, but we're also not the coaches that are like, oh, don't worry about it, just start again Monday. Because that doesn't help anyone out. We don't brush things under the carpet. We will always, whenever things don't go to plan, help you learn and grow and work through it. Because if every single time you have a little slip up, you know how to not do that next time round, that's setting you up for success. And that's what we are as coaches, is we do not want this to be we'll just brush it under the carpet, just keep going, just keep following the plan, just keep following the plan. It's like, no, if you can learn how to deal with bumps in the road, you're set up for long-term success. But most importantly, we know every single person is capable. And we need/want you to realise this. Like, that is our mission. We want everyone to realise that. And we want to teach you everything you need to know. We want to give you the education. We want to change your mindset. We want to work on your relationship with food. And if you do have any issues, like with binge eating, emotional eating, self-sabotage, we want to fix these issues rather than mask them or cause them, and ultimately give you the tools to sustain this for the rest of your life. And if you've watched this and you think, yeah, do you know what? I resonate and I am so ready to do something different, head to the description to get all the details of the program. You can sign up, or if we don't have any intake or spaces available, you can join the priority waitlist. And if you've watched this and you think, this sounds good, but I'm just not 100% sure if it's for me, the contact details to get in touch with me will be there as well. Because if you want my honest opinion, and I will always be honest, if this is the right thing for you, I'll tell you. And if something's a better fit, I'll push you in the right direction.